Thrasymachus is not happy with Socrates' response, and to avoid formal defeat, he retaliates with a restatement of his own argument. Thrasymachus responds to Socrates by calling him a fool, saying that you cannot really think that a shepherd looks after his sheep for the good of the flock, for a shepherd simply looks after the sheep so that he can benefit himself by making a profit, once he has fattened them up and has sold them off to be in someone's Sunday roast. Therefore, in the same way that a shepherd looks after his sheep for the good of himself so that he can make a profit of them, a ruler looks after his subjects so that he may use them to benefit himself. Thrasymachus goes on to say that because justice is what is good for someone else, namely the interest of the stronger party or ruler imposed at the expense of the subject that obeys him, it is better to be unjust than just, since the unjust person always becomes better off. For instance, in a business transaction, the unjust man will become better off, since he will be able to be dishonest in trade and therefore gain an upper hand against his rivals. Again, in a state, the unjust man will be better off, since he will be paying less on his taxes than the just man. Furthermore, the friends of the just man will detest him, since he will refuse to do them service if it is not right. Thrasymachus goes on to say that the greatest of all injustice is tyranny, which will bring someone the highest happiness and will plunge their victims in misery, and that if someone gets caught committing the crimes associated with tyranny, such as rape, kidnapping, theft, and fraud, he is branded as a criminal and disgraced. But when a man succeeds in reducing the whole of society to slavery, they forget the ugly names of the crimes and call him happy and fortunate, since he has done well for himself by being unjust to others. For Thrasymachus says that those who do not practice injustice do so because they are afraid from suffering from it and not of doing it. Socrates is unconvinced with Thrasymachus' claim and jumps right in to refute him. While he grants Thrasymachus his definition of an unjust man as someone who has the ability to continue his wrongdoing by fraud or force without being caught, he is not persuaded by the fact that injustice pays better than justice. For Socrates says,
"You started by agreeing with me that true doctors, mathematicians, and ship captains act in the interests not of themselves, but those to whom their skills care for. Yet when you came to define the true shepherd, you abandoned your former position, and now suppose that a shepherd's purpose is to fatten his sheep to make a good meal for a feast at a party, or to sell them to make a profit, as if he were a businessman and not a shepherd. Yet we agreed that the pure skill of the shepherd is devoted to the welfare of the flock of which he is in charge, and so I thought that it followed that any kind of authority, public or private, pursued the welfare of the subjects under its care. Let me ask you, Thrasymachus, do you think that rulers, in the true sense, really want to rule?"
"I don't think it, I know it."
"Very well, Thrasymachus. But have you not noticed that no one really wants to exercise any form of authority? At any rate, they expect to be paid for it, which shows that they don't expect ruling to benefit themselves, but only their subjects. In other words, the fact that rulers expect to be paid for ruling shows that it does not prove to be an advantage to themselves, but only to the subjects they serve. For instance, I doubt that the Prime Minister of the UK will agree to work for nothing, since he sees that his job provides no benefit to himself, but only to others."
"Who?"
Never mind. Tell me, Thrasymachus, we differentiate between one art and another by their different functions, correct?
"That is correct, Socrates. Where are we going with this?"
So then, each art and profession benefits us in a distinct and particular way. Medicine brings us health, navigation a safe voyage, and so on. Therefore, wage earning brings us wages, for that is its function. For you don't identify medicine as navigation, do you? Would you call navigation medicine just because a ship's captain recovers his health on a voyage because the sea makes him feel better?
"Of course not."
And do you call wage earning medicine if someone recovers his health while earning money?
"No, that would be absurd."
Well then, can you call medicine wage earning if a doctor earns a fee while he is curing his patients?
"No."
Are we agreed then that each professional skill brings its own particular benefit?
"I can grunt that. Socrates is therefore saying wage earning is different from one's profession, since to earn wages, one has to exercise the profession wage earning as well as their own profession. The benefit of receiving wages does not therefore come to a man as a result of the exercise of his particular profession. For instance, building produces a house, while wage earning produces wages. All arts and professions only operate to benefit the subject under their particular charge, and that no man will benefit from his profession unless he is paid well. For instance, looking after sheep does not benefit the shepherd, nor does building houses for the city benefit the builder. It only benefits them if they are paid well. Socrates therefore says,
It is in fact the case, Thrasymachus, that no profession or authority provides for its own benefit, but instead benefits the subject of which it is in charge, thus benefiting the interest of the weaker party and not the stronger. Therefore, no one wants authority and the role of correcting people's wrongs unless he is paid for it, since if he does the job properly, he will never order something that is best for himself, but is what is best for his subjects. For instance, I doubt that the President of the USA
Prezi what?
will agree to rule if he gets no pay for what he is doing. He will only rule if he is rewarded with pay or honours, or forced to rule by punishing him if he refuses.
At this point in the book, Glaucon jumps in and says, "Oh, Socrates, I recognise your two kinds of rewards, but I do not know what the punishment is, or in what sense that you speak of it as pay."
Then you don't understand how the best man must be paid if they are willing to govern. Would you agree that being overly ambitious or mercenary is reckless, and indeed something worthy of discredit?
That is right.
So good men will not consent to govern for cash or honours. They do not want to be called mercenary for demanding payment for governing, or thieves for making money on the side from people's taxes. Furthermore, they will not work for honours, for they aren't ambitious. Instead, a good ruler will rule so as to avoid the punishment of having to be ruled by someone who is worse than themselves. For instance, if David Cameron was a good leader, he would only rule so as to avoid having Ed Miliband in charge of the country.
What odd names.
For this is what frightens honest men into taking power, and they approach it not as if it was something desirable, out of which they were going to do well, but as something they must do, since there is no one better or equal to them who can do the job. If there existed a city that only contained good men, then there would be competitions to avoid taking power, in the same way that people compete for power today, as it is quite clear that true rulers pursue the subject's interest and not their own, thus meaning a wise man would prefer the benefit of this service at the hands of others, rather than the labour of having to provide it themselves.